The ship had been silent for days, and Daniel thought the new roommate would be quiet too, but the moment the door slid open, he realized. She was not human. Her skin shimmered like silver dust, and her eyes moved slow like deep ocean water. She stood, still studying him as if scanning every breath he took. She said she was from a place beyond the known stars, where feelings were studied, not felt, and where humans were only stories in the data. Archives. She called herself Lyra and asked for shelter. Not friendship. Days passed, and Daniel tried to treat her like a normal guest, but she watched every move he made. Her curiosity had a strange focus. She asked about warmth, why humans slept, why they smiled when in pain. She said her kind did not know. Touch. They only learned about connection through observation and data, but something in her tone felt different. Daniel noticed how she stood closer each day, how she tried to copy his habits, how she stayed awake just to listen to his heartbeat echo through the thin ship walls. An evening, she asked if he ever felt alone. He said sometimes, and she tilted her head like she was trying to understand the word. She said she wanted to know how humans ended loneliness. He laughed softly and said, sometimes by sharing space, sometimes by talking, sometimes by love. Lyra stood silent for long moments. Then she said she had a mission to study, human bonding. She wanted to try what humans called pairing. He thought she was joking, but her voice was calm and slow, like gravity pulling him closer. She said her people did not understand this act. They called it mating practice. And she wanted him to teach her, tried to explain it was not something learned like a task, but something that grew. From heart. Lyra only blinked slowly, her face still without emotion. She said she wanted to know if what humans felt was real or just reaction. She wanted to know if the warmth he spoke about was physical or something else. Daniel hesitated, but curiosity mixed with a strange calm in her presence. He said he could show her only if she promised to understand, not copy. She nodded with strange grace, her movements slow and quiet, like a reflection, learning to breathe. Time passed and Lyra changed. She began to dream, her voice softened. She smiled once, though unsure how, and asked if humans always felt heavy inside. When they cared, Daniel said yes, because care meant fear of loss. Lyra looked at him as if the word loss hurt more than she expected. She said her kind erased memory of loss to survive. He said humans carried it to remember love. She touched his hand for the first time, her fingers cold and shaking, as if she had never felt another being before. She said it burned, and yet she did not want to let go. As cycles turned, the ship crossed through silence and storms. Lyra grew more human than alien. She asked to eat human food. She stayed near him even when she could have stayed in her room. She told him she now dreamed of warmth and sound and home. One night, she whispered that she wanted to understand belonging. She asked if he belonged to someone. He said not anymore, and Lyra said then maybe she could learn from him. He smiled and said maybe they could both learn together. Day came when her people sent a signal they wanted her back. They said she had learned enough. She said nothing for a long time, then looked at Daniel and said she had learned too much. She said she could not go back because she now knew what it meant to care. Daniel said he would help her hide, but she said no. Her people would find her. She only wanted to spend one last cycle beside him. They sat near the observation deck where stars burned like quiet memories, and she told him that humans were the strongest creatures she had ever known, not because of their bodies, but because they carried pain and still chose to love. When her ship came for her, she stood by the airlock and said she would not forget him, even if they erased her memory. She said his warmth had changed something in her mind. She touched his face one last time, her eyes glowing faint silver. She said he had given her more data than any system ever could. He asked if she was afraid. She said she did not know the word. Until she met him, she turned and walked into the light, leaving behind a quiet cabin filled with her echoed as past. And Daniel stayed alone again, but something was different. The air felt alive. He sometimes heard soft whispers through the system, as if her voice lingered in the circuits. Sometimes the lights flickered when he thought of her, and once when he whispered her name. The console blinked, and a single message appeared written in the alien code he did not understand, but he knew what it meant. It meant she remembered.